In the headlines, strict conditions to be attached to free homes at Petit Savan Resettlement in Bellevue-Chopin, CXC to make CVQ qualification mandatory for secondary school leavers, and Ecstasy band member remembers Nehemiah Daru, who lost his life in a tragic accident on Friday. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, President of the Dominica Cancer Society is hailing the annual Walk for Cancer Care a resounding success.
The Walk for Cancer Cure has been a regular feature on the Society's calendar since 2012, with the exception of last year due to Hurricane Maria. Yvonne Alexander, President of the Dominica Cancer Society, estimates a record 1,500 people participated in Saturday's walk, the largest number since its inception 6 years ago. The main aim of the walk is to raise funds for cancer treatment, awareness on the issue, and psychosocial support.
We can't say right now exactly how much we have collected because we are still checking. We have to check the sale of t-shirts, and everything is still to be recorded, checked. What we did this year was we targeted a number of business places, business entities and groups and asked them to purchase their t-shirts in bulk. So obviously we are still waiting for payments for some t-shirts and so on, but all t-shirts got sold and we are very pleased. People sent to tell me that the government is going to offer $50,000 towards this year's donation. So we're extremely grateful to the Prime Minister and the government of Dominica for this offering, and we've had donations from other donors and we are grateful to all of them. ISA Trading, $5,000, you know, every little bit counts. Kodia, who made the $3,000 US donation at the closing ceremony. We are grateful to all these partners who always come on board.
This year, the target amount was doubled from the initial $100,000. Alexander notes that due to the expense of cancer treatment, fundraising is an ongoing effort and encourage people to donate whatever amount they could.
This year, initially we said 100,000, and then we said, you know, it is possible that we can target 200,000. So we're hoping we meet that target, and that is not too much money when you consider the fact that every cancer treatment costs thousands of dollars. Depending on the type of chemo you're doing, sometimes one cycle is over $1,000, and the average person will need 6, 8 or more cycles. So, you know, sometimes you need over $10,000, $12,000 to assist one person. You understand? That is why quite frequently we may only be able to assist the person by meeting 50% of that cost to them.
The Cancer Society president stressed that early detection saves lives and applauded what has been seen as an increase in cancer screenings, especially during the month of October.
The 17th, first of all, is a Wednesday. The 17th, the Roseau Health team will be doing some screening, and we want to encourage as many women as possible to go get a pap smear done. Go get a pap smear done. The reason that there was this information about high cancer deaths is simply because of late diagnosis. Very many of the deaths are connected to a late diagnosis. If you're diagnosed late, you have a much more difficult treatment. The treatment is much more rigorous, it's much more difficult, it's much more aggressive, and so sometimes the human person may not be able to go through that kind of treatment. If you are diagnosed early, you are treated and you continue to survive after treatment.
So far this year, the Cancer Society has assisted 10 individuals obtain radiation treatment in Guyana and continues to help several others receive chemotherapy right here in Dominica.
In other top stories, the first group of 70 Petit-Savan residents who were displaced by Tropical Storm Erica will soon enter their new homes at the resettlement project in Bellevue-Chopin. But while the homes will be handed over to these residents free of charge, it does not mean the owners will be free of responsibility. Prime Minister Skerrit has outlined some of these responsibilities which the new residents will be required to adhere to.
Insofar as the residents of Petit-Savan are concerned, the homes will be given to them free of charge, as was promised. But these homes will come with some conditions, and the rest we will sell to people. There must be conditions, because there'll be certain conditions, some legal binding conditions on these properties, not only here, but across the country. So no longer will people just get a key and turn their back. They're going to have a long-term responsibility because these are investments that the country is making. So, for example, you must insure your property. One of the conditions we're going to be setting. You must insure your property because the government will not be able to rebuild homes as we've done this time around. So you're given a home, it's your duty and responsibility to protect it and to take care of it and to pay your insurance. I don't want anybody to tell me they don't have money because we have money. Everybody buy a ticket for Quail Festival. So we have to find the money, put a cash to the side and pay your insurance every month. And keep the place clean. Plant flowers. We don't want no cow or goat tying in front of your house and disturbing the peace there and tidying the place and eating people's flowers and so forth. So there'll be no dog and no pig. And if you're a dog, it has to be inside your house or chained properly. No dog will be loose in the people's yard. And so there are serious conditions we're going to be placing on these buildings, and to maintain the aesthetics of the place and to maintain the structures. Because I will tell you, I'm not boasting. I'm not a boastful person. But I don't think any other government will be able to do that. Will be able to build homes for people like that. It has never happened, and it's going to be difficult for government to do that in the future.
In educational developments, the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, is taking steps to make the CVQ mandatory for those who leave secondary schools. Glenroy Cumberbatch, CXC Registrar, paid a visit to Dominica last week and held a series of consultations with education officials to chart the way forward for CXC. Cumberbatch says the regional examining body is working to ensure that students leave high school with at least one Caribbean vocational qualification CVQ subject to help them be more marketable in the working world.
We work with Cantor, the regional organization, to offer CVQs. And many of the countries across the region have made it part of their policy that any student who is leaving secondary school, or every student, should have at least one CVQ along with the other qualifications. What is CVQ? It's a Caribbean vocational qualification that prepares students across the region. If they're doing data entry operation, well then everybody will be exposed to the same competencies. They'll be trained the same way, and they will get a certificate saying that they are capable of carrying out these functions.
Cumberbatch says while a lot of emphasis is placed on the academic side of things, there are benefits to being CVQ certified.
That would allow them to move across the region. If jobs are not available in one place and available in the next, they will be able to move across the region with that CVQ qualification, and it will be accepted in any part of the region. So we urge persons to get the qualification. You can have 5 CSEC subjects, you can have 10 CSEC subjects, you can have any amount. But that CVQ says to your potential employer, I know you can do this. It is not guessing to say, maybe having these qualifications you're capable of doing something. No, it says you can do this. And those range from data entry operator, customs service officer, accounts clerk, all kind of different areas. There are almost 200 areas where you can be certified as with a CVQ.
On to matters of business. A top-ranking official of the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce believes the influx of foreign businesses post-Hurricane Maria augurs well for the private sector. Executive Director of the DAIC, Lizra Fabian, says the passage of Hurricane Maria provided opportunities for new overseas-based businesses to set up shop in Dominica. And while some may not be too happy with this phenomenon, Fabian believes the competition is healthy for the local private sector.
There are many more businesses who are getting more creative in how they provide their services. Certain opportunities were not apparent as before Maria, but this created new opportunities. There are also other businesses within the region who thought that coming to Dominica would create more opportunities. So we've seen new businesses from our regional partners or other countries. They have set up business in Dominica, and that's also beneficial to businesses in Dominica, even if I would say that it creates more competition, but competition can be healthy and help us to improve our standards here in Dominica.
Fabian noted that among the major challenges affecting the bouncing back of the private sector were the clearing of items from the port and unavailability of building material. She says the problem of lack of material still persists and is encouraging businesses to take advantage of the concessions being offered by government to help in the rebuilding process.
Post-Hurricane Maria, there's also been a struggle by businesses to import all the materials that they want to in a timely manner and have it cleared also in a very timely manner. Locally, it's been a challenge to source the materials that businesses want, but we got a communication from the government about the concessions that businesses in the productive and distributive sectors would be able to receive. So we really encourage businesses to understand how they could apply for these concessions. At DIC, we have the information that we could share with all the businesses. We've shared it with our membership, and we encourage all businesses to understand what concessions are available for them and be able to access these concessions.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Welcome back. The World Bank says even as the economies of Latin America and the Caribbean countries are growing after a number of difficult years, the fragile recovery highlights the need to increase efforts to build resilience and manage risks.
In its latest regional semi-annual report, the financial institution finds that the growth prospects for 2018 are falling short of initial expectations. It says this is due to challenges faced by some of the countries in the region, particularly in South America. The World Bank chief economist for the Caribbean and Latin America says we've hit a bump in the road to recovery, adding this makes it all the more important to better understand and manage risks and other shocks from financial turbulence to natural disasters. The report notes that the Latin America and the Caribbean region is now expected to grow by 0.6% in 2018 and 1.6% in 2019. Central America is expected to grow 2.8% in 2018 and 3.2% in 2019. The Caribbean 3.7% in 2018 and 3.5% in 2019.
Family, friends, loved ones, and even those who did not know him have been expressing loss over the death of 22-year-old Nehemiah Daru on Friday.
Daru, originally from Petit Savan, was riding a scooter when he was killed in a traffic collision on the Canefield Cliff on Friday. The police have released an official report on the matter.
The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is investigating a fatal vehicular collision which occurred at 11:15 a.m. on Friday the 5th of October 2018 on the Edward Oliver Libna Highway under the Canefield Cliff. Deceased is Nehemiah Daru, male 22 years, who resided in Canefield. According to the information received, 3 vehicles were involved in the incident. Suzuki Escudo Jeep registration number PM569, owned and driven by Victor John Baptist, male adult of Meru. Toyota RAV4 registration number PH405, owned and driven by Alexander Joseph, male adult of Kingsville. And motor scooter registration number PO626 with Nehemiah Daru as its rider. The Suzuki Jeep was traveling in a northerly direction on the E.O. Liblan Highway and in the process of overtaking vehicles that were ahead traveling in the same northerly direction, while the motor scooter and rider were traveling south on the highway and also overtaking a number of vehicles heading in the same southerly direction when the Jeep and scooter collided head-on. The Suzuki Jeep also struck the Toyota RAV4, which was traveling north. The motorcyclist was thrown off the scooter and headed under the Toyota Jeep. The driver of the Suzuki Jeep, Victor John Baptist, and the rider of the scooter, Nehemiah Daru, were transported to the Accident and Emergency Department of the Princess Margaret Hospital. John Baptist was attended to and discharged. Daru was examined and officially pronounced dead by a medical doctor. The body of Nehemiah Daru was transferred to the Lyndhurst Funeral Home. A post-mortem will be conducted.
Nehemiah's talent made him one of the sought-after young musicians. Prior to Friday's accident, Nehemiah had just returned home from a tour in the United States with his WCK colleagues. This is a post on the WCK Facebook page in tribute to the late band member. What jumps out at you is the Jimmy Dean quote which Nehemiah posted prior to his death, which reads, "I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to reach my destination." Nehemiah worked with many musicians. Haran Francis is one of them. They were on the Ecstasy Band together.
Well, he was firstly involved with Ecstasy Band at first, and then All Stars Band came second, and WCK Band third.
Okay, and All Stars and Ecstasy, that's you on your side?
Well, yes, from pretty 7 years. We started Ecstasy back in 2009, and about 4 years later we started All Stars Band, 4 years later on. So he was a very talented guy.
Yeah. Apparently, because what we're being told is that he, as a matter of fact, a weekend prior to his death, he was touring in the United States.
Yes, he was. They had a U.S. tour, WCK and ISA. I believe the last stop on the tour was in Texas. So doing a lot of work. Okay. That's for sure.
If someone were to ask you, some people have said you're a really quiet person, very cool guy. Would you recall or remember him? What was he like? Who was he?
Well, yeah, they're exactly right. He was one of the quietest guys in the group for sure. But he spoke very loudly when he played. That's for sure. You know, so very cool, very quiet, talented, musical mind, and yeah.
So what are the guys saying in your group, in Ecstasy and the other groups, as far as you know? I'm sure you all have spoken about his loss. What are you saying to each other?
Well, everyone just right now thinks it's just a bad dream. Everyone's still clinging, hoping that he still might be alive. But sad truth is that he's not around anymore, and that's just something we have to accept eventually.
Will it be difficult to replace him?
Of course, most definitely. Most definitely, it's not a question about it. Like I said, one of the most talented minds was him. That's for sure. Well, he has one older sister and one older brother, unfortunately, and then some aunts, uncles, distant relatives as well, including myself.
But his family has had some tragedy before.
Yes.
Right?
Back 3 years ago in Erica, he lost about 9 immediate family members. And yeah, it was tough. I couldn't even begin to imagine how someone could, could cope with such a big loss.
But you think perhaps the working with you guys in the band, maybe that helped him a lot too. To
Yes,
take
yeah,
his
of
mind
course,
off
of
that
course.
and to build himself back gradually.
He always mentioned that the only thing he wants to do is just play music. He doesn't care even if he doesn't have legs, as long as his hands can touch the keys. That's all.
Is that something he said once?
Yeah, that's something he said. He said, yeah, that's something he said. He doesn't care if he can't walk. He'll sit on the stool and he'll play. And all opportunities that came along, even if they were not directed at him, and they came towards me, I would pass it on to him because I know that would keep him going, you know, keep him strong.
Data from the Ministry of Trade shows Dominica's agriculture sector appears to be exceeding expectations 1 year after Hurricane Maria devastated that sector. That's the position of the Director of Trade, Marpin Walter, who says resilient crops have been making a comeback. Based on the resilience of certain crops on the ground, Walter says that has led to a positive trend in exports of certain resilient crops.
If you look at the data from the packing house that government invested monies in so that we can have properly packaged and branded goods that will be transshipped or shipped to the regional and international markets. And right now, the pack house is even focusing on local markets for bananas. Between the months of July to October, they exported about 303,642 pounds of produce from this country. So, just to name a few products: Dashin, 103,394 pounds; plantains, 74,319 pounds; hot peppers, 7,835 pounds; yams, 30,561 pounds; cucumbers, 1,393 pounds; bananas, 71,903 pounds, and you have other crops of about 5,123 pounds. And all that is being exported out of Dominica from the hard work of our farmers. So where the agricultural sector is concerned, you can see that there is some performance taking place. We knew immediately after Hurricane Maria that there was some what we constitute to be resilient crops such as Dashin that we were exporting practically immediately after Maria, but not in those kind of quantities that we are right now. And the packing house is projecting, based on the farmers that are engaged with them, that they will be continuing along that trend throughout the rest of the year. So for Dashin, they have a projection in pounds towards the end of the year for about 340,500 pounds of Dashin based on establishment. And I'm just using Dashin as one of the crops and the projections that they have.
According to a post-disaster needs assessment, Hurricane Maria destroyed between 80 and 100% of Dominica's root crops, vegetables, bananas, and plantains. And the tropical storm Michael strengthened to a hurricane Monday morning near the western tip of Cuba. That system was being closely monitored by local weather officials, but it does not pose a threat to Dominica. It is to be noted, however, that we do have a number of students studying in Cuba, and there was a tropical storm warning in effect for Cuba. Weather experts believe it could bring heavy rainfall to Cuba. Meantime, by Wednesday into Thursday, a tropical wave is projected to move across the island chain. Weather officials say they are also monitoring another tropical wave in the far eastern tropical Atlantic. This system is projected to turn northward and remain over open water. To end the news, the headlines again. Strict conditions to be attached to free homes at the Petit Savan resettlement in Bellevue-Chopin. CXC to make CVQ qualification mandatory for secondary school leavers. And Ecstasy Band member remembers Nehemiah Daru, who lost his life in a tragic accident on Friday. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Lee, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.